After the age of 50, your body no longer responds the way it once did. Metabolism slows down, recovery becomes harder, and the foods you once enjoyed without consequence begin to leave a lasting impact. At this stage of life, your daily diet is not just a habit. It becomes a deciding factor between strength and sickness, energy and exhaustion, longevity and decline. Yet, millions of people continue to consume certain foods that silently damage their health every single day. Today, we're going to address 5 of the most dangerous foods you must avoid after 50, because ignoring them could cost you far more than you realize. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change the way you eat forever. After the age of 50, your body no longer processes food the way it once did, and this is where most people make a critical mistake. They continue eating the same foods with the same habits, expecting the same results. But the reality is very different. The foods that once felt normal, even harmless, can now begin to place serious stress on your system. Take a moment and think about this. That regular burger, those sugary snacks, or that quick fast food meal you rely on for convenience. Your body is no longer equipped to handle them efficiently. Instead of being used as clean energy, these foods start to accumulate in harmful ways. Burgers loaded with unhealthy fats and sodium begin to affect your heart and cholesterol levels. Sugar, which once felt like a simple treat, now spikes your blood glucose more aggressively, increasing the risk of diabetes and constant fatigue. Fast food, filled with preservatives and artificial ingredients, slows down digestion and leaves your body feeling heavy rather than energized. Here's the part most people ignore. These effects don't show up instantly. That's what makes them dangerous. You don't feel the damage in one day, but it builds quietly over time. One meal becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a lifestyle. Before you realize it, low energy, weight gain, and health issues start to feel normal, when in reality, there are signals that your body is struggling to keep up. Your metabolism is slower now, which means your body burns fewer calories and takes longer to process heavy, processed foods. This makes choices like burgers and fast food far more damaging than they used to be. At the same time, excess sugar doesn't just add calories. It actively works against your body by increasing inflammation and weakening your internal systems. What once felt like small indulgences now carry much greater consequences. This is where a shift becomes necessary, not optional. Continuing the same eating patterns is no longer sustainable if you want to maintain strength, energy, and long-term health. It's no longer just about eating what tastes good in the moment. It's about understanding what your body truly needs at this stage of life. There is also a psychological side to this. Many people hold on to these foods because they are familiar, convenient, and comforting. Burgers, sugary drinks, and fast food are not just meals. They are habits built over years. But comfort should never come at the cost of your health. Recognizing that these foods are no longer serving you the same way is a powerful realization, because it allows you to take control instead of continuing on autopilot. The difference becomes clear when you start making conscious changes. Reducing sugar intake, avoiding fast food, and limiting processed meals can quickly improve how you feel. Energy levels become more stable, digestion improves, and your body begins to respond in a more balanced way. These are not extreme transformations. They're the result of aligning your choices with your body's current needs. There's a critical truth that becomes impossible to ignore as you move past the age of 50. The pleasure you get from certain foods lasts only a few moments, but the impact they leave on your body can remain for years. This is where many people lose control, not because they lack awareness, but because they underestimate the long-term cost of short-term satisfaction. Think about the foods that are most tempting: burgers, sugary desserts, fast food meals. They are designed to deliver instant gratification. The taste is intense, the experience is satisfying, and for a brief moment, it feels rewarding. But what follows is far less visible and far more damaging. These foods begin to affect your internal systems in ways that are not immediately noticeable. Cholesterol levels rise gradually, blood sugar becomes unstable, and energy levels start to fluctuate. You may not feel it today, but your body is already responding. This is where discipline becomes more important than desire. Because at this stage of life, your body does not recover from poor choices as easily as it once did. A single high sugar meal can lead to prolonged spikes in blood glucose. A fast food habit can slowly increase inflammation throughout your body. A burger rich in unhealthy fats can contribute to the narrowing of your arteries over time. These are not dramatic, overnight changes. They are slow, consistent effects that build quietly in the background. Consider this carefully. Every time you choose temporary taste, you are making a small withdrawal from your long-term health. The challenge is that these withdrawals are not immediately visible, which makes them easy to ignore. But over time, they accumulate. What begins as an occasional indulgence can turn into a regular pattern, and that pattern begins to define your health outcomes. There's also a deeper psychological factor involved. Instant gratification is powerful because it is easy. It requires no effort, no planning, and no resistance. Choosing a sugary snack or a fast food meal is convenient, and in the moment, it feels harmless. But the consequences of that convenience are delayed, and that delay creates a false sense of safety. It allows unhealthy habits to continue without immediate accountability. As the body ages, it becomes more sensitive to these patterns. Excess sugar no longer gets processed efficiently. It lingers in the bloodstream, contributing to insulin resistance and increasing the risk of diabetes. Processed foods no longer pass through the system easily. They place strain on digestion and reduce overall energy. High-fat, low-quality meals no longer feel like occasional treats. They become triggers for long-term cardiovascular issues. The shift that needs to happen is not just physical, but mental. It requires understanding that every decision carries weight, even if the outcome is not immediate. Choosing to limit these foods is not about restriction. It is about recognizing value. It is about understanding that your long-term energy, mobility, and independence are worth far more than a few moments of taste. After the age of 50, the relationship between food and the body becomes far more direct and far more noticeable. What you eat no longer sits in the background as a simple routine. It actively shapes how you feel, how you function, and how your body performs each day. At this stage, every bite begins to carry a clear consequence. It either supports your system or places an additional burden on it. When you consume foods like burgers, sugar, and fast food, the body does not process them with the same efficiency it once did. Instead of being converted into clean, usable energy, these foods often create internal stress. Excess sugar disrupts blood glucose balance, leading to energy spikes followed by fatigue. Processed fast food introduces artificial ingredients and unhealthy fats that slow digestion and increase inflammation. Heavy meals like burgers place strain on the cardiovascular system, gradually affecting heart health. These are not isolated reactions. They are part of a continuous cycle that influences your overall well-being. Consider how quickly your body responds after a meal. Within a short time, your energy levels either rise steadily or begin to drop. Your focus either remains clear or becomes sluggish. This is not random. It is a direct result of what you have just consumed. The body provides immediate feedback, but it is often overlooked because the effects may seem subtle at first. Over time, however, these small responses accumulate and begin to define how you feel on a daily basis. There is no neutral ground in this process. Foods that lack nutritional value do not simply pass through your system without impact. They either contribute to imbalance or prevent your body from functioning at its best. When meals are consistently built around processed ingredients, high sugar content, and unhealthy fats, the body is forced to work harder just to maintain basic stability. This leads to ongoing fatigue, reduced efficiency, and increased vulnerability to health issues. On the other hand, when you begin to make more intentional choices, the difference becomes evident. Reducing sugar intake allows your blood glucose levels to stabilize, which leads to more consistent energy throughout the day. Avoiding fast food decreases the intake of harmful substances that interfere with digestion and internal processes. Limiting heavy processed meals like burgers reduces the strain on your heart and improves overall circulation. These changes do not require extreme measures, but they create a noticeable shift in how your body responds. What makes this stage of life unique is the level of sensitivity the body develops. It becomes more responsive to both positive and negative inputs. This means that poor choices have a stronger impact, but it also means that better choices produce clearer benefits. The body is constantly adapting, but it relies on the quality of what it receives. Providing it with supportive nutrition allows it to function more efficiently, while repeated exposure to harmful foods gradually weakens its performance. At any stage of life, the body has an extraordinary ability to respond to change, but after the age of 50, that response becomes more dependent on the decisions you make each day. Many people begin to believe that once certain habits are formed or certain health issues appear, there is little that can be done to reverse the situation. This belief itself becomes the biggest barrier, because it limits action before any real effort is even made. The reality is far more encouraging. The body does not stop adapting. It simply requires better support. Even after years of consuming burgers, sugar, and fast food, your system retained the capacity to improve if you begin to change your patterns. The moment you reduce these foods, your body starts adjusting. Blood sugar levels begin to stabilize, digestion becomes more efficient, and energy levels gradually improve. These changes may not feel dramatic overnight, but they are real, measurable, and cumulative. Consider how quickly the body reacts when it is no longer under constant stress from processed foods. Removing excess sugar reduces the strain on your metabolic system. Limiting fast food decreases the intake of harmful fats and artificial additives. Cutting back on heavy, processed meals like burgers allows your cardiovascular system to function with less resistance. These are not extreme interventions. They are controlled, intentional shifts that create space for recovery. What often holds people back is the expectation of immediate transformation. When results are not instant, motivation begins to fade. However, meaningful change at this stage is not about speed. It is about consistency. Each better choice strengthens your body's ability to function properly. Each day of improved eating habits builds momentum. Over time, these small decisions begin to reshape your health in a noticeable way. There is also a significant mental shift that takes place when you decide to take control. Instead of feeling limited by age, you begin to recognize your ability to influence outcomes. This sense of control is powerful because it changes how you approach every decision. You are no longer reacting to habits. You are actively shaping them. Choosing to avoid excessive sugar or skip fast food is no longer a restriction. It becomes a deliberate action aligned with your long-term well-being. It is important to understand that recovery does not require perfection. It requires direction. Occasional mistakes do not define your health, but repeated patterns do. When your overall direction begins to move toward better choices, your body responds accordingly. This removes the pressure of being perfect and replaces it with the responsibility of being consistent. The next time you sit down to eat, remember this: you are not just feeding your hunger. You are shaping your future. Health is not built overnight, and it is not lost overnight. It is created or destroyed through daily habits. Make the right ones. Protect your body. Value your health. And commit to a lifestyle that supports a longer, stronger, and better life.